welcome to PrepEve, where we revolutionize how you prepare for IELTS. Today we'll be starting with the second type of question, which is matching your headings, features or sentences. So let's begin. First of all, you have your reading passage or comprehension here. This is probably your section 1, and you have the corresponding questions here. So for example, this is your matching question, and here you have to match the headings of the each of the paragraphs. So let's assume there are, say, 5 paragraphs in your passage. And then in the question, they've given you approximately, say, 8 headings. So they've given you 8 sentences, and they're asking you to match each one of these paragraphs with one of these sentences. So here obviously 3 sentences are extra, and the other 5 that we have would correspond to these. So you need to pick and choose which one of them is not correctly associated with any one of them. So first things first is you have to understand how the question would look like. So there will be some 7, 8 or 10 sentences, and you have to give each of your paragraphs one of these sentences as a heading or as the title of that sentence. Okay, so this is how your question would look like. Matching headings kind of questions. So in case of these type of question, first of all, you should make sure that you do not panic in case if you are not aware about the content of the passage. In case if you have no idea what the topic is going to talk about and the topic is such that you have never heard about it before, you don't have to panic. And this is not in the case of matching headings, but in case of all reading comprehension or all reading questions. So you have to make sure that you do not panic in any case, because this particular test is assessing your English and not your knowledge pertaining to that particular topic. So do not panic in case if you're not aware of the particular topic that is given to you as your test in your reading section. Instead, just read it casually, and I'm sure you will be able to understand whatever the topic is talking about. So it's the test of your reading skills and not your knowledge. So make sure you don't panic. Number 2, do not have to understand every word. Yes, you do not have to understand every word in your passage. You can skip 1 or 2 words. Even native speakers would not understand each and every word of your reading test. There can be a certain word in each of the passages or each of the paragraphs which you are not really aware of, or you haven't really heard of them before. But even without understanding or knowing the exact meaning of that word, you can still comprehend as to what that word means, because you know the context of that particular sentence. You know what the sentence is trying to say, because you can understand the sentences above and below it. So you can make out that probably this word would mean this thing. So you can make out what the sentence is trying to convey, and for that it's not necessary for you to understand each and every word. So don't just waste your time understanding every word. It's not important to understand each and every word. And sometimes chances are that the word that you're focusing on and putting your head into it as to what the meaning of that word is not even the answer of any of the questions. So it's just a waste of time. Probably from that particular paragraph or those 2-3 sentences, no question is being asked in the question paper. So don't waste your time unnecessarily on understanding each and every word of your passage. Number 3, read the entire paragraph. You do not need to read the entire paragraph while you're attempting matching headings kind of question. So there is a shortage or dearth of time. You just have 1 hour and you have to solve 40 questions. So if you go through the entire paragraph and read it from top to bottom for each and every heading. So for example, there are 5 headings, 5 paragraphs, and you have to match them, then you will be spending so much of time reading each of these 5 paragraphs from top to bottom. So what is the best strategy? The best strategy is to read the first two and the last two lines of your paragraph. When you read the first two and the last two lines of your paragraph, you would get an idea of what the particular paragraph is trying to convey. So when you understand what the paragraph is trying to convey, you will easily be able to understand the title, or you will be able to match the headings properly. So you don't have to read the entire paragraph, you can just read the first two and last two sentences to get an idea of what that particular paragraph means. Fourth, add your opinion, stick to the text. So here, do not add your opinion. You don't have to add any extra information that you already know about the topic which is given to you in your passage. So just like in true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, here also you do not have to add any extra information, any opinion, guesses, assumptions, nothing of that sort is required. So do not add your opinion, just stick to the text. Whatever the text says, you should abide by that, you should go through that, and you should answer your match the following or match the headings, or basically true, false, not given kind of questions only based on the text given to you. Last but not the least, under the do nots, you have to not look for the exact same words in the passage. Now your question, basically the titles that are given to you in your question paper would have some words, and if you underline those words as keywords and start looking for them in your passage, chances are you won't find those exact words. Same is the case with other kind of questions like true, false, not given. You will not be able to spot the same keyword that you find here in your passage. So what you have to do is, instead of looking for the exact same word, you do not have to look for the exact same word, and instead you have to look for synonyms. Basically you have to look for synonyms. Apart from that, I guess we have dealt with every part of it. Stick to the text and do not read the entire paragraph, just read the last two and first two sentences. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be first two and last two sentences. So you need to keep in mind these 5 things. Do not panic, do not read each and every sentence. You do not have to understand each and every word. Let it go. Don't waste your time on one particular word or to understand the meaning of one particular sentence. Add your opinion. Do not add your opinion yet again. Stick to the text. Whatever the text says, you have to stick by it. And lastly, do not look for the exact same words in your passage as the ones given in your question, because chances. Let's have a look at the do's. We have already had a look at the do nots. So what do we have to do while we are attempting matching the headings kind of questions? So first of all, attempt these questions first. You have to do this if you think that these questions are time consuming and a bit difficult. So you can start with these. As soon as you spot these questions in your passage, just read the titles or the headings given to you in the question and quickly move to your passage and start reading your paragraphs and look for the headings. Number 2, understand the general meaning. You need to understand the general meaning of each of the paragraphs. You do not have to go through each and every word or each and every sentence of every paragraph. If you start doing that, you will definitely mess up your time management, and we do not want that to happen. So what you have to do is, as mentioned in the do nots, you have to not read the entire paragraph, but just go through the first 2 and the last 2 sentences of each paragraph, and that would give you a generic idea or a general meaning of what that paragraph is going to talk about. And once you know that, it will be an easy peasy task for you to answer these kind of questions. Next is match obvious headings first. Now match obvious headings. As soon as you go through and understand the general meaning of a paragraph and then you look at the titles, I am sure there must be some paragraphs or some titles that are obvious. And for example, you have read the paragraph 3 and you have read the first 2 sentences and last 2 sentences, and after you have done that, you go through the title and you figure out the title number 1 is the most appropriate for the paragraph 3. And if something is obvious and evident, just quickly write that down corresponding to that particular paragraph. So you in that case would make it easier for yourself to answer the remaining headings. Next is, in case of doubt, use elimination method. Now what is elimination method? Firstly, if there were, for example, 8 headings for 5 paragraphs, once you have answered the obvious headings, you have matched the obvious headings with the obvious paragraphs, you are say left with just 5 of them. Okay, so now there were 8 of them and you have matched 3 headings appropriately with the paragraph. So once you match the obvious headings, for example, there were say 8 headings for 5 paragraphs and you have matched 3 of them already with 3 paragraphs. So you're left with 2 paragraphs and you're looking for their headings in those remaining headlines that have been given to you or the titles that have been given to you. What do? You have eliminated some of them because already you have them, and then you can put those title numbers in front of the paragraphs and look for the doubtful ones. For example, in case of paragraph 1, if you're confused and you want to write, you're confused between the heading number 5 and 6 and you're not sure whether the paragraph 1 would have the heading number 5 or 6, what you can do is just corresponding to the paragraph, for example, this is your first paragraph, you can write 5 and 6 so that you can clear your confusion later on. Then you can move to the next paragraph, say paragraph 2. Now here also you're confused between 6th and 7th. So if you figure out that here the answer is 6, then obviously here the answer would become the heading number 5. So in that case we can eliminate, you just have to keep moving to the next paragraph. Don't get fixated to the first paragraphs, keep going through the titles, that's the wrong strategy. Just read the paragraph, first 2 lines, last 2 lines, go through the titles, think of the best possible titles that you can find and write them corresponding to that paragraph. Once you have done that, move on to the next paragraph. Don't spend much time on the same paragraph. If you're sure about it, if you think that's one obvious heading and that will definitely be the answer of that particular paragraph, just write it down there and be sure about it. In case of doubtful cases where you think 2 or 3 titles can suit one paragraph, you can write them corresponding to that paragraph and move to the next one. And in case in the next one you're sure that one of the doubtful ones are here, then obviously the elimination method would help you out in answering the other paragraphs. So the key mantra is to not fixate yourself to one paragraph and keep moving to the next paragraph, because as you keep moving, your number of choices keep reducing because you keep getting the answers or headings for the subsequent paragraphs. So I hope it's clear. I'll repeat once again. Attempt these questions first if you think they're difficult and are time consuming. Number 2, you just have to understand the general idea. You do not have to understand each and every word or know the meaning of each and every word in the paragraph. Number 3, match obvious headings first. This way you will be left with only a certain amount of headings out of which you'd have to choose the rest of the paragraphs and correspond them or match them with the headings. In case of doubt, use elimination method. I just explained it. You just have to write down the doubtful or write down the heading numbers that you think would correspond or suit the paragraph and go on to the next paragraph. And when it comes to the do nots, you do not have to panic in case you have no idea about what the topic is. And secondly, you have to understand every word. You just don't have to understand every word, you can just understand the meaning of the paragraph. Read the entire paragraph is not necessary, and you do not have to add your own opinion. Stick to what the text says, and you do not have to look for the exact keywords as in case of your passage and your headings. You just have to look for synonyms, because chances are you'll find synonyms and not the exact same words in your passage as that of the question. So do not panic, do not have to understand every word, do not have to read the entire paragraph, just the first two and last two sentences. No opinions, no assumptions, no prior information whatsoever that you have about that particular paragraph or that particular topic. So this is how you will be solving your heading questions, and this is how you can match your heading questions with your corresponding paragraphs. I hope this particular video helped you out. Even if it did a bit, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel, and for future videos we'll be dealing with the rest of the types of question, and very soon we'll be coming up with the examples for these kind of questions, so that you can solve them with me during the session in the comment section, right? So that's about it for today. Hope you liked the video. Stay tuned. Bye bye.